Okay, welcome, Pasha. It's Pasha's Vayakel, Tough Shin Pay Dullard. Let me just turn off my telephone. I always miscover when I put my phone on silent or turn off my phone, I think about Kiddush on Friday night. It's like making Kiddush, like a mini Kiddush before you're involved in Lima Torah to turn off your phone. You could look at it like that. Okay. Um, so we're basically going to ask three questions. And what we're going to try and do is understand them by explaining what Emuna is, and the different madrigas of Emuna. And there's very different kinds of Emuna. So um, the first question is a very small question. It just says in the Chumash, it says in this parsha, and Rashi explains in last week's parsha, that the word chereshes, means umanut, means a craft. Yeah. So what's the kesher? The word, it's just a bizarre word. Cheresh means death. And it's got something to do with emuna, with craft, with umanut. That's just a small question. Okay. Now I'm just going to read you an extract from the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, okay? It's in Dinei Chetzitza, like making a interruption, like you can't have something on your hands when you're washing your hands or when you're going in the mikveh. So the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch says like this: Mish yadav tzvuos, someone whose hands are dirty with like paint. Im ein sham mashes et seva. Kim hazusa bialma, if it's like a dye, yeah, so there's not like a thick, there isn't any mamashas to the color. It's just like dye on his hands. Yeah. Lo have a chatzitza. That's not a chatzitza. Aval im yesh aleihem mamashas et But if there's some kind of a substance to the paint, afilu rak ma'at, even a little bit, have a chatzitza. That's considered a chatzitza. Ach imhu uman b'chach. But if he's an uman in this, meaning a craftsman in this, the Hainashut Sava, like he's a painter, let's say. V'chein misha hu tabach v'yadam luhlachois midam, or he's a butcher and his hands are filthy with blood. Yeah, or who soifer v'hetzvoisa ab luhlachois midyoi, or he's a soifer and his hands are filthy with ink. V'hu ragil b'chach, and he is ragil with this. And with all balei umanas, with all craftsmen, if they've got schmutz on their hand that is of their craft, it's not a chatzitza. So by me, if I get paint on my hands, then I can't do natilis yadayim until I wash the paint off my hands. By an uman, by a craftsman who's a painter, if he's got paint on his hands, then he can wash his hands. It's not considered a chatzitza. It's an interesting halacha, no? Okay? Okay, that's number two. And the third question, which is the deepest question. Yitzi, you with me? This is the big one, yeah? So there's a famous Torah from the Lubavitcher Rebbe called Atat Tzaveh. It's from Parshas Tetzaveh. And he basically asks this question that by the Lubavitcher Hasidim in Russia, when Stalin was after all the Yidden, the Yidden were moise nefesh mamash for like every ois of Torah, for every word of Torah, for every teeny mitzvah, anything they could do. They were mamash moise nefesh. They were getting sent to Siberia and all kinds of crazy stuff the whole time. For every little thing, everyone was moise nefesh, yeah? When the Yidden all came to America and Yiddishkeit became absolutely permissible and even something that's nice that you should do, maybe, yeah, the level of observance fell down dramatically. What's Peshat? That when you've got a Russia who says he'll kill you for doing mitzvahs, everyone's doing mitzvahs as much as they can, and the minute that Russia's taken away and they're saying gesundheit, enjoy it, do it as you wish, yeah, then everyone starts frying out. So we'll try and answer that up, and that's very, very relevant for our matzav. It's like the most relevant thing for where we are, because if you thought that, in the 1930s, America was hospitable to frum Jews, yeah, look at 2024 now. Walk around Pico, you've got Eruvin, you've got Mikvos, you've got Minyanim everywhere. There's more kosher food in Pico than there is in Jerusalem. It's like, it's just built for you to be Jewish. It's mamash so conducive to Yiddishkeit. It's crazy. Okay. So there's four kinds of emunah. Okay. Now these are specific types of emunah. I've coined the phrases. Okay. I've made words up for these that will help us remember them. Yeah. The four kinds of emunah is emunah de shtus, emunah de shmia, emunah de re'iyah, and emunah de yediyah. Okay. Emunah de shtus, like stupid emunah, let's call it, or even better, shita ideology. We even could call it egotistical emunah. Yeah. Then you've got emunah de shmia, which is emunah from hearing, emunah de re'iyah, which is emunah from seeing, and emunah de yediyah, which is an emunah of knowing. Okay. The lower two levels are keneged ve'umosa olam. They only have access to these lower two levels. The Yidden have access to all four levels. But the two higher levels are specifically and exclusively for Yidden. Okay? So let's start from the bottom. They're all very easy to understand, but they're very deep and they will illuminate for us what's going on. Okay? Emunah de shtus. You could give me think of an example of what you might think is an emunah de shtus. A belief that someone has that you would call an emunah de shtus. So I would say the belief in the Quran is an emunah de shtus. Meaning, why do you believe this book was written by God? And the reasons, the intensity, we just take it for granted because everyone's been to the Discovery Seminar. We've all heard Lawrence Kellerman and all the, we know all the proofs for the Torah, yeah? You realize that by the Quran and also by the New Testament, they have nothing like that whatsoever. You realize that? Nothing. You would be amazed. You would be amazed at how empty, how ridiculous the proofs they bring for their commitment to their ideology is. It's a joke. It's absolutely. I recommend you look into a little bit. You only need like half an hour, 45 minutes to give you a big chizuk in your Yiddishkeit, because their commitment to their religion is so silly, it will mamash blow your head off. You're like, why? Anyway, emunah de shtus means I believe. It's like, I believe. Why? What do you mean why? There's no why, I believe. But why do you believe? It's beyond why. But there's no logic to it whatsoever. Yeah? So basically it means you've chosen something, anything, to believe in. Why would someone do that? That's the inyan of Shita. Aaron, we've discussed it before Shita. You know the whole inyan of Shita? Yeah? When you merge with an ideology, your sense of self-belief, when you believe in something, you even become nullified to it, yeah? That's the merging of yourself with something else. And that is betachlis to give yourself more solidity. It's an intensification of the ego. I'm only so big, but if I can believe in X, yeah, whether it's a tree or Donald Trump or Yoshki or whatever it is, yeah, now I'm kind of borrowing from that and I'm making myself more real. That's the concept of Shita. So shtus is loshen Shita. So emunah de shtus is the emunah of the ego. There's no reason, there's no rationale behind it whatsoever. And it's becoming because I just chose this. Like I could have chosen something else. I chose this. And the reason for it is that myself becomes more solidified. That's the lowest level, and it's not really a munah at all. It's called a munah d'shtus. Now you've got the next level, which is called a munah de shmiya, the munah of listening. Now, a munah of listening is the level of a put together human being. A good human he's said to have reached a high madrega if he has an munah of listening. Shalom Hillel. So a munah of hearing is like this. If I describe to you a certain building that I've seen, yeah, and it's such a chiddush. It's a marvel. It's a complete, what's the word? It was a breakthrough building. Nothing like it had ever been made before, yeah? Cutting edge, the very edge of architecture. And I go and see it. And I come back and I try and describe it to you. Now, what I'm going to do is the way I'm going to describe it to you is I'm going to be using terms that are familiar to you, that you have references in your mind for. And what you're going to do is you're going to piece together a picture of this building in your mind from all the previous buildings that you've seen in the past. It might be, it probably will be, something new, but it's not really new because you're putting it together from all the images that you've got in your brain. So this is the inyan of a munah d'shmiya, of a munah of hearing, of understanding, is I'm bringing the thing that I believe in to me. I'm fitting it inside me. I'm Ika, and it is relative to me. Yeah. So I've put together this picture of this building in my mind from your description of it, and it might be a chiddush, but when you show me the picture, I might say something like, wow, I could never have imagined such a thing. That's called a munah de re'iyah. And the fundamental idea of it is that with a munah de shmiya is I am bringing the thing to me. A munah de re'iyah is the thing is bringing me to it. It's a completely different idea. So when I'm picturing this picture in my mind, I'm basically taking this building and fitting it into my own mind. Whereas when you show me the picture, my mind expands to the building. I've been brought to the building. So this is the difference between a munah de shmiya and a munah de re'iyah. So now a high-level non-Jew, yeah, will look at this world and he will extrapolate that there must have been a creator. Well, there's a creation, so I suppose there has to have been a creator, yeah? And he must be super intelligent, maybe infinitely intelligent. And it would be difficult that he got created because then we're back to the same question. And he will piece together the picture using all of creation. And in the end, he ends up with, so to speak, a picture of God in his mind, made of all the pictures that he had before that. You with me? And this is the reason why Goyim don't have a mitzvah to believe in God. The Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach, yeah? Which we should all know. The first one is, don't do avodah zarah. The second one is, don't curse God. Don't be makalel him, yeah? But it's interesting because, you know, if you look it up in the chinuch, in all the svarim, you know what it says instead of says, don't be makalel him? It says, don't be mavarech him. And the next it has in brackets, lekalel. Lo levarech es Hashem. That's their mitzvah. Don't bless God. And then in brackets, they add in lo lekalel. Why? Because the Pashup Pshat is it's lashon naki. You don't want to say don't curse God. That's not nice, yeah? So we say don't bless God, meaning don't curse him. But in every sefer you look at, it has kalel in brackets. So this is my own chiddush, but I think I want to say like this. Why is it saying don't be Mavarich Hashem? Because you know what happens when Goyim and Mavarich Hashem? Things like October 7th happen. That's when a Goy becomes religious, because by definition, he's creating God in his image. these tragedies, think of what's happened in the name of God over the years by the nations of the world. It's pachad. So I think it's kind of like a joke from Chazal where they said, don't be Mevarech Hashem. It means don't be Kalel him, but really, MS, don't even be Mevarech him. Leave him alone, it's fine. You can just get on with being a good human being. Don't worry about God. So the mitzvahs of the Sheva mitzvahs are: don't do avodah zarah, lo lekalel es Hashem, don't curse God, murder, niyuf, gezel, eva min achai, and bate dinim, bate mishpatim. Where's the mitzvah to believe in God? This is the whole point. A goyish emunah, a human emunah, is by definition of you, of the human. Yiddish emunah, the level of ra'iyah, is possible because the soul of the Jew is looking at the Ribbono Shel Olam, so to speak. The soul of the Jew is looking at the Ribbono Shel Olam. Therefore, Yiddish emunah in Hashem means that I am relating to Hashem on His terms. Not I'm fitting him into my frame of reference. My frame of reference is expanding to his condition, to his Metzias. It's a completely different thing. Legamre. So a little bit like Emunah D'Shtus, it's illogical, but it's not illogical. It's not sublogical. It's superlogical. It's the same thing of seeing something that you can't believe. A good example is, let's say someone locks you in a room, yeah? And it's like, you're locked in this room and they padlocked the door, they sealed it shut with it's like completely, they made it impossible. It's the whole thing, like Mr. Beast did it, yeah? To make you completely, you're in there. No one can get in, no one can get out, yeah? And the lights go out, and all of a sudden the lights go back on, and there's a guy in the room with you. Now, what do? It was impossible. It was impossible that he could get into that room, yeah? 100%. But there's now a guy in the room with you. What does your brain do? Your brain smashes the original logic that you had that it was impossible for someone to get into the room. I don't know how. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But there's a guy in this room with me right now, which means that everything that I understood before was wrong. That's Yiddish emunah. When you're looking at the Ribbono Shel Olam, it breaks all of everything that you understood about the Ribbono Shel Olam. And that's really why the symbol of the Yid is bris milah. Because you know there's a halacha, ta'aseh v'lo min asui. Everyone knows that halacha in Hilchos Sukkah and in tzitzis and all kinds of stuff. Yitzi, you familiar with that halacha? Ta'aseh v'lo min asui. Hilo, you know that halacha?
Yes.
Yes. So it means you can't make something like the classic example is you get a tree, you lay it over like a sukkah, and that's puzzle, and then you cut down the tree, so you've got the stuff, the schach, that's puzzle. It has to be a positive act that creates the mitzvah. Yeah? Another example is if the tzitzis somehow, you made the tzitzis somehow and they're all connected, and then you just take a knife and you cut them and they separate, that would also be puzzle. So you have to do a positive act. So it's weird because if that's the case, why is the paradigm mitzvah that creates the Jew bris milah, where you remove a piece of the Yid? It's ta'aseh v'lo min asui. Verstehen? So anyway, I'm actually not going to answer that right now. But the point is that simon is the simon of our relationship to Ribbono Shel Olam. Meaning we are breaking away from all of the shtuyot that we know of the Ribbono Shel Olam. Everything we know about Hashem in our mind is wrong. Everything, by definition, if you know it in your mind, it's not right. Now, you can play with these ideas to create emotions and to help you serve, and that's wonderful, and that's being Makadesh, the ideas. But if you actually ever think that you have some kind of tefisa on who and what the Ribbono Shel Olam is, yeah, you are absolutely, unequivocally, utterly wrong, 100%. That's the inyan of removing the orla, taking away these kinds of ideas and getting kashur to the re'iyah. Because even though it doesn't make any sense that guy is still in the room, he's in the room. So everything I knew before that was wrong. That's the lower level of Jewish emunah, and that's Givaldic. That's the lower level of Jewish emunah. And that, why is it the lower level? Because with that kind of emunah, there's me, there's the ability to see, and then there's what I'm seeing, God. 3 things. Me, the ability to see, and what I'm seeing. Emunah Diyadia is just echad. Emunah Diyadia is when you are identified with the Chelek Elokai Mimal, with the part of you that is godly. There isn't me seeing God. There's I am godly. That's Emunah Diyadia. What's the difference in that? See, Emunah Dere'iyah is the lower levels of your soul looking at the essence of the soul. The essence of the Jewish soul is godly, is the Ribbono Shel Olam himself. Chelek Elokai Mimal Mamash. So when a person's connected to the lower levels of their soul, those lower levels are looking at the essence of the soul. That's Emunah Dere'iyah. Meaning you're looking at God himself, Kavyochel. So you're being taken to him. But that's when you're relating to yourself as a neshama, not as a yechida, not as the essence of the soul. You're relating to yourself as a nefesh ruach neshama. But the yechida of the soul is echad yachid miyuchad with Ribbono Shel Olam. So yediyah, emunah yediyah, is when the person has ascended from that level of just looking at the soul to having identified with the essence of his Jewish neshama. That's emunah diyadia. And that's when you're mamash one. That's what we talk about, being one with the Ribbono Shel Olam. It's not me looking at God. There's just the Ribbono Shel Olam. And that answers up the inyan of the uman. The inyan of the uman with the shmutz on his hands. You guys are tired. It's late. Maybe this is worth hearing though. What's the inyan? Hillel, you weren't here, but we said that by a regular person, a guy who's got shmutz on his hands, it's a chatzitza for a natilas yadayim. But by an uman, by a craftsman, when he's got lichluch of his craft on his hand, it's not a chatzitza. So I'll just quickly explain to you as a photographer, yeah? The way it works as a photographer, when a person starts learning photography, there's them, then they've got their camera, they've got their subject, they've got all the ideas of composition and of lighting and of posing, and there's just all of these separate things. And it becomes very overwhelming for a person. As they get more and more professional, as they hone their craft, it gets to the point where eventually there's no camera, there's no subject, there's no environment and atmosphere, there's no light, there's just one. You are one. That's called being in the zone, yeah? It happens by surgeons, it happens by top photographers, by musicians, by anyone who has a real craft that they've become very professional in. Yeah, they'll tell you that it's like they go, so to speak, on autopilot, and it's like everything happens through them. That's a yichud. There isn't me, the seeing and what I'm seeing. There's just one. And that's emunah. That's the inyan of emunah. And that's the kesher between umanus, craftsmanship, and emunah. And that's why the lichluch on the hands of the uman is not choitzetz, because it's of him. The ink of the scribe is of the scribe. The scribe doesn't experience the ink as something separate from him. The paint of the painter is of him. It's not something separate from him. The blood, even the blood of the butcher or the moil, it's of him. It's not something separate. That's the whole inyan of Emunah. That's the highest level of Emunah. So just to answer the other question that we asked, what's the kesher between Cheresh and Emunah? Why is Cheresh, which means death, also a word synonymously interchangeable with Emunah? Because Emunah is really those higher two levels. Cheresh means you can't hear. So Jewish Emunah means it's not about hearing. You need that as well, yeah, but that's to do with your human side. That's not Jewish Emunah. Jewish Emunah is Re'iyah and Yediyah. And just to finish up, you guys got quiet for another 2 minutes? What was the whole thing with Russia? What happened in Russia? Why in Russia everyone was Moser Nefesh for Avodas Hashem, and everyone came to America, and it was a disaster. What happened? Because in Russia, at that Madrega in the history of Yiddishkeit, we were living by an Emunah of Re'iyah, which is a very real Emunah, but it's Emunah de Re'iyah. When someone's coming against you who doesn't want you to serve Hashem, yeah, and then that Emunah Re'iyah is enough, and it will actually activate itself, and it will break through. When everything gets comfortable, this is what the Bavitch Rebbe was saying, when everything's comfortable and you need to find the energy from yourself, which is where we are right now, you guys sitting in LA, more than anyone in the world, it's more comfortable for you guys than anyone else. Yeah, but where I am in Jerusalem, it's also very comfortable. And it's all, for the Yidden, it's mamash comfortable, yeah? You need the Emunah Diyadiyah, meaning that we've ascended to the level of Yechida. And this is the final stage. This is the Geula coming. This is mamash the Geula, because we've just been learning over and over that we've just been going down and down and down. And then Hashem's finally going to turn around and go, you know what? Enough of this. I've toyed with you enough. This is, here, take a bone, and he brings Geula. That's not how it's working. We're going up and up and up. And even though it might look different, that's only because we've understood it all wrong. We've been conned into thinking that Yiddishkeit is about Ruchnius, which is a terrible lie. Yeah, Yiddishkeit is about the Rebbeinu Shalom. So you're right, on a level of Ruchnius, we've been going down and down and down. But on the level of godliness, we've been going up and up and up. So where we're holding right now, the fact that you guys are sitting in a shir at 11 o'clock at night, yeah, when you could be doing 100 or 1,000 other things that are much easier, much more geschmack, much more whatever, what in the old days, go back 200 years in Europe, yeah, 11 o'clock.
Not more geschmack, not more geschmack.
Maybe not good, but you didn't have YouTube, yeah, you couldn't sit there and watch, crazy funny things for hours on end, or whatever the stupid things that are going on in the world. They didn't have that available. So we're now choosing to be over the Shem amidst the noichius, the comfort. And that's only possible when we're kashor to the highest level of Emunah. That's the Yechida. That's Emunah Diyadiyah. So just in a quick cover, we spoke, Emunah de Shtus is an egocentric Emunah to solidify yourself. Emunah de Shmiya is a human Emunah where you bring that thing to you. You relate to it on your terms. Emunah de Re'iyah is the first level of Jewish Emunah where you are taken to it. Just like when you see something, it opens up new avenues in your mind. And Emunah Diyadiyah, that's what's going on right now, where we've become Echad, Yachad, and Miyuchad with the Rebbeinu Shalom. Just to finish off one small point, someone told me about someone that I know that a psychologist, they had no idea what was flying, yeah? But they said this person needs deep healing. Deep, and you've probably heard this term before, personal healing. You know what a shtuyot that is? A person only ever needs shallow healing. Because the only thing that's ever wrong with you is on the most chetzoni level. In turn, there's no such thing as deep healing by Yid. Chaz v'shalom. On a chetzoni, the only healing that we ever need to do is on the level of machshava. That's so chetzoni. It's so so far from who we are. It's pasha easy as well. You just have to learn the right ideas and understand what thinking actually is, and then it all starts to fit into place ever. And this is really the foundation of what we're talking about here. Remember that we're mamash givoldik. We're doing givoldik. Hashem is getting huge nachas from our avoid and mamash, and the problems that we have are very, very chitzoni problems, and they're gonna. As we learn more and as we try a little harder, is if we want to get through, they're just going to start falling away, like a like a peanut, like a peanut, like that thing on the peanut, the papery bit.
Yes.
Yeah, that's it. Like you just go like that, and it's gone. That's it. Okay, should be. Just one last quick thing, just to finish the same idea. Just what happened when we got kicked out of Gan Eden? What got put at the entrance of Gan Eden? You remember?
Cherev.
The cherev hamishafeches. Yeah,
Right.
spinning sword. That's the inyan of machshava. Why? Because if there's a Pesach and there's just a sword in the ground, you just
Walk around it.
It's nothing. It doesn't even get in your way, Bichlai. You just walk straight past it. It's nothing. But when the sword is spinning around, when the thoughts are whizzing around, it creates, not only is it dangerous, but it creates the illusion of a solid wall.
Wow.
The inyan of machshava. When we can still the machshavas, and there are definitely very simple ways to do this. When we can still the machshavas, it's like there's a sword nuts in the ground, and you just walk straight past it. It's nothing. But when it's spinning around like that, it fills in the entire Pesach, and it looks like it's impossible. It's just a wall. That's the inyan. That's where we're holding. And once we can peel that little thing off of the peanut, and we get to the peanut, then we'll see everything fall into place. Bezrat Hashem. Okay,
Amen.
Bezrat Hashem. Okay, so have a good Shabbos.
Amen. So good. Thank you. Good Shabbos.
Thank you so much, Ravi. Thank you.